Stewarding the Seasons with Catherine Sempebwa. Living with purpose, intentionality, inspiration, helped by God.
Hello everybody, welcome to Stewarding the Seasons. My name is Catherine Sempebwa and welcome yet again to another episode. And today I'm doing a book review. Yeah, I think I have done one before about the sexual myths that keep women single. If you haven't watched that video, it's somewhere in the description below or a link somewhere. So today I want us to just share on this book. It's called 77 Common Mistakes That Singles Make, and it was written by Dr. D.K. Olukoya. He's a preacher, he's an author, and all that. So this book, I think I had this book in my resource list when I was still single, but I never really got to read it actually. My season expired before I was able to read it, but while I was talking to a few ladies, there are a number of them that have asked me for resources, so I've had to go back to check the books that I read, the sermons that I watched and all that, and I found this book. Then I read it and then also referred it to the ladies who are interested, and I found that it has really beautiful lessons to learn. There are very many mistakes that we make when we are in our seasons of singlehood. I also made some mistakes, and it's beautiful that he highlights the mistakes and how to avoid that mistake. And there are 77. So you can imagine, I was wondering, I just wanted to do 7 of them. 7 is like what? A 10th or something. I wanted to do like 7, but while I was reading the book, I found like every mistake is something that every single person should be aware of and not fall into that trap. So if you'd love to have that book, please reach out to me. You can find me on Instagram, STS with Catherine Sempebwa. You can send me an email, catherinesempebwa@gmail.com. You can find me really, and I would be glad to share a copy of this book. So I just want us to share 7 of these mistakes. Mistake number 1 that Dr. Olukoya tells us is that singles make the mistake of assuming that a man or a woman loves you. Especially in our church community, you guys, we have these brothers, these sisters who are really friendly. They are kind. They'll buy you lunch, buy you credit. They'll buy you, all those people who do really nice things for you, but they never really tell you their intention. So you start to assume that they love you or they have feelings for you, and in due time, probably they'll open up to you and tell you. Now, he tells us that don't assume that a person loves you just because of the actions that they do. Wait until they open up about it. But even while you wait, don't put your life on hold waiting for them to open up. Because there are people that I have met in life who are just generous, and they'll buy people things, they'll do things for people, but they don't love them like that. They are just generous. So this person might be that kind of person. They just love to give people. So they'll buy you things, they'll take you out, they'll treat you nice, but they don't exactly love you like that. So don't assume that just because someone is doing good stuff for you, they love you. Until someone opens their mouth and they tell you, sister, brother, I love you and I want to pursue a relationship with you, don't mistake their kind acts for love. So mistake number 1, please don't assume that someone loves you just because they are doing nice things for you. Because you put your life on hold waiting for them to tell you they love you. Next thing you know, they are marrying someone else, and it's not their fault. It is your fault for assuming that they loved you, yet they didn't tell you. So also back to you. Don't give people mixed signals. If you don't love someone like that, don't be overly nice and yet you're just really leading them on. So just like you didn't want someone else to do it to you, as a single person, don't do it. Most especially, no offense, Christian brothers out there, there's a way they can tend to really be nice to all the girls, and it can it can cause a lot of confusion. So dear young brother, dear Christian brother, don't give girls mixed signals. And also ladies, don't give men mixed signals. If you know you don't like them like that, don't lead them on. And yes, don't assume that someone loves you because they are being nice to you. So mistake number 2, excuse me, do not put your life on pause because you're not yet married. So there are a number of single people who think that life starts after you're married, but that's not really it. Don't put your life on pause thinking that, you know what, I'll pursue my education after I get married, I'll do this after I get married. No. Dr. Olokoya says that do not abandon growth, progress, effectiveness, or giving value because you're waiting to get married. Remember that you will not be young for long. So while you're waiting for a partner, live your life, invest your life, like do things that take you forward. And I love what he said. He said that actually the skills and accolades you gather as you wait will be a blessing for your marriage, for your partner, and for your children. So while you're waiting on a spouse, go and pursue a higher education, start a business, create a community of friends, like do something with your life. And you realize that the skills that you learn are actually going to help you when you're eventually married. For instance, the business that you build while you're single is going to help you financially. As a married couple, it will help your kids. It might even be that business that becomes a legacy and an inheritance for your children. So don't put your life on hold, waiting to be married. Then you start to pursue all these other things. It's a mistake if you're doing that. Live your life as you wait. Number 3, he says, mistake number 3 that many singles make is dating married men or women. And yeah, I know that there is a way social media, society has made it look like it's normal, it's okay, everybody's doing it, and why not? I actually met a young lady who told me that her friends were encouraging her to date a married man because he had money, and yeah, so that she could be able to afford a lavish lifestyle. So I know that very many people think it's okay. This is what Dr. Olokoya says about this. He says that if you want a relationship that ends in marriage, especially if you are a Christian, you shouldn't be relating with married people, because once you are dating a married person, that means they'll never marry you, like unless they divorce or whatever. But he says that it's actually a sin to date married people. It is adultery, and the Bible is against that. But then also, if you allow yourself to enter this mess, even as a second wife or a born concubine, you have chosen to be a second class wife. So for him, he's just reasoning, okay, let's say you really want to do it, but do you realize that you're going to be a second class wife? You're always going to be number 2. Is that what you want? As a Christian lady out there, is that what you really want? Then he says that you need to know that God has a better plan for you. He has an original plan of blissful matrimony if you will only be focused and be patient. Like, wait on a person who is single like you. Wait on that, because God has that in mind for you. Don't be pressured into now dating married people, because people, you might say that that's all that's available, that's the pool of people available. Once you get into that, first of all, it's sin. Then secondly, you're going to become a second class wife. But then also, you will not be able to enjoy the matrimony that God has for you. And then lastly, on this same point, he says, but also remember that when you sow such, you're going to reap this. It will come back to you. And this act makes you a breaker of divine law, an enemy of God, and a defiler of the divine institution called marriage. So, when you date married people, it's a seed that you're sowing, and somehow you will reap it, because already you're against God, you're against His institution, like you're in rebellion. That means you're going to reap. You might reap. It might come through your children. You might reap misery, whatever it is, because I mean, you sow one thing. I remember when you sow like one bean seed, you're going to get multiple things. So when you sow this rebellion, because for you want to have your way, you're going to reap a lot of negative fruit. That's what I would say. So it's a mistake, and it's not right to date married people. Mistake number 4, wasting time on unavailable men or women. So you know that a person is not interested in you because they have told you, they have shown you, but somehow you have hope that they'll come around, or that you'll pray for them and then they will love you. He says it's a mistake that you're making. I remember someone once said that never let someone tell you twice that they don't want you. If they've told you their words and they've told you their actions, like, have dignity and just move on. Yeah. So it's a mistake if you are wasting your time on unavailable people. The guy clearly doesn't like you. The chick clearly doesn't like you, but you are forcing things. You are hoping they will like you. You are praying about it. It's a mistake because he keeps saying that you're going to waste time in that cycle, in that, waiting for them to love you. You're going to waste time. Then another thing he said, if this person is not a good person, they will take advantage of your desperation. When, for instance, you like a guy and doesn't like you, and you're sort of begging him to like you, if he's a bad guy, he's going to use you sexually, financially, emotionally, use you, then dump you. And that's not what you want. So if you realize that someone is unavailable and they don't feel the same towards you, please release them and release yourself. Mistake number 5. He says being too picky is also a mistake that many singles make. He says that very many times people have missed out on great partners because they are too picky. Of course, have standards. Thank you so much. Have standards. They must be Christian. Like, those non-negotiables are very, very important. But again, don't be too picky. Don't be like, he's too short, he's too brown, there are things that are, you're just really being too picky. Or why he talks how, I don't like how, there are things that are just not that deep. That's what I can say. They're not that deep. But then you miss out on a great partner, a person who is God-fearing, who is self-controlled, who is loving, because they are too short or they are too dark or something like that. So he says that one of the mistakes that singles make is being too picky. So make sure as you set your standards, make sure you're not being too picky. Have the non-negotiables, the things that align with Bible character. Then other things, let them, pass. Then number 6, which I think is really important, especially for you if you're in waiting, starting a focusless relationship. When you enter a relationship but you don't know where it's going, those things of let's see how it goes. I personally don't like those kinds of relationships, because I had a number of let's see how it goes. You end up wasting time, wasting emotions, it's heading nowhere, but because you did not set the right tone for the relationship. So he says that if you're not planning to marry a person, why exactly are you asking them out? Now that's to the men. Now the ladies, if you're not planning on marrying a person, or he's not your type or whatever, why exactly are you saying yes to the relationship? Like, why are you leading the person on, yet in your heart of hearts you know that this thing might never end anywhere? I feel like that is really selfish, but also it will waste your time. He says that a relationship should only be formed to get to know each other after you both agree that marriage is the goal. Excuse me. So don't live a trial and error lifestyle. It is unsafe and time wasting. Only consider a relationship at a time when you're ready to get married. So it's common for people to just be like, let's see how it goes, let's see how it goes. I feel like you can waste a lot of time in the let's see how it goes. Next thing, you realize you've been in a relationship for 5 years and you're still seeing how it goes, and none of you is willing to commit, or the other is dragging the other to commit. I feel like before a relationship starts, you have to both agree, okay, I see you this way, I see these things and I like what I see. Can we is marriage the goal? So if marriage is the goal, you start to work towards that, and then you date from that angle. Then lastly, the seventh mistake that singles make, they think that being churchy, like you go to church, you like church, or whatever, is the only requirement for a relationship. It is wrong for you to think that just because someone goes to church, it is the only requirement. Of course, it's important that they go to church. It's important they love the Lord. It's important that they pray and they have all these Christian values. But that's not the only requirement you should look out for. He says that look out for character, look out for patterns, for mindset, for background, for consistency. Don't just look at the fact that the guy comes to church every Sunday and conclude that because he comes to church every Sunday, he's it. No. Then also he says that beware of those that are wolves in sheep's skin, pretending to be churchy, but they actually want to devour you. That is why as you pray, watch with your eyes and look for deeper character. So also look out for the deeper things. Just because this lady is a church person, she's in the choir, she's all these things, look at other things outside that as you qualify them for a marriage partner. So like I said, there are 77 mistakes and they are all so wonderful. I would love you to read the book generally. It would really help and shed some light on certain things that the world has made look normal, but they actually are not exactly normal. So there are 7. The first one, it's wrong to assume that a man or woman loves you just because they're being kind. Don't put your life on hold because you're not yet married. Don't date married men or women. Don't waste time on unavailable men or women. Don't be too picky. Have standards, yes, but don't be too picky. Then don't start a focusless relationship. And lastly, being churchy isn't the only requirement for a relationship. So I hope that you've learned something. I hope that something has, your mind has opened to something. And if you love this book, please reach out. I would love to share the books with you. I am always happy when light comes, because when light comes, usually the miracle is even nearer than we first thought. So let us pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you so much for this moment. We thank you for the resources that you've availed for this season, for the single people. I thank you for the books. I thank you for the sermons. I thank you for every resource that you've availed. I thank you because you give them the grace to pick that which is theirs per season. Help them to be open to knowledge. Help them to be open to light so that they can achieve the victory that they desire. King of glory, I thank you for miracles. I thank you because you're doing a good thing in their lives and because they will testify. I thank you because you're good and you're God. In Jesus' name we've prayed. Amen. Thank you so much. See you next week. Bye-bye.